Hello everybody, welcome to OCHD and welcome to another Jumputi Heroes predictions video. Today I'm going to be making my predictions for the hotly anticipated Hunter x Hunter and Yu Yu Hakusho crossover event. But before we get into that, if you enjoy these kinds of videos, please drop a like to let me know, and if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. Now, I should mention I do have a summons video from the previous event, which will be going up at some point this weekend. I just didn't get around to editing it because I haven't been able to stop playing Elden Ring. Today though, I have managed to peel myself away from that cursed game to make this video. We have to be quick though, because we know teasers will begin from tonight, so let's dive in. For the limited gacha, we kind of already have an idea of what we can expect thanks to that silhouette that was shown alongside the Taiwan roadmap reveals. A very distinct outline can be seen of Adult Gon, Godspeed Killua, Mazoku Yusuke, and Dragon of the Darkness Flame Hiei. They're over on the far right of this set of characters. Though, there can still be a question of who pairs with who, because the outlines may or may not be shuffled around, we don't know. Personally, I think the most likely pairings are Yusuke and Killua as one limited, and then Gon and Hiei as another. I'm still not 100% sold on the idea of these crossover limiteds. I feel like they try to take two duos that already match within their own series and swap them with each other, and it feels a little bit weird to me. I always go back to the example of Goku and Arale really being what a crossover limited should look like, at least in my eyes. Other examples of that might be Yugi and Bobobo, or maybe Suna and Tatsumi Oga, but they've swapped their partners. There are quite a few good pairs I feel like are sort of on beat. And so far, these crossover limiteds have felt a bit offbeat to me. Out of the ones that we're looking at here, I would say Yusuke and Killua sort of works to an extent, but Gon and Hiei feels a little bit strange to me. For the standard gacha, I think this time we'll probably get the heroes added into the limited gacha, the same way they were in the event that's going on right now. And I feel like it just makes the most sense with this type of event. Like, I suspect we'll get 2 new heroes from each series, 4 in total, and it just makes sense for those to be available on both the limited banners rather than having extra separate new hero banners for people to summon on. From the standard gacha, let's start with Hunter x Hunter. With these events, I think really they can take content from anywhere in the story, but in order to keep some kind of cohesiveness in my predictions, I think I'm going to focus slowly on one arc for each, and in the case of Hunter x Hunter, solely focus on the Chimera Ant arc. It's sort of tricky to choose who should be gacha here, but I think the best odds would be on Knuckle and Shoot. There are still some other characters I'd like to see from Hunter x Hunter, but these two go well with the Gon and Killua we're already going to be getting. They're part of the limiteds, so it only seems fair to include them. From Yu Yu Hakusho, to be honest, it's sort of slim pickings. Most characters you would want to see added are either already in the game, or they're not really that sort of gacha level of popularity. So I think this time around version 2s are probably unavoidable. Anyway, I decided to focus on the chapter Black Saga because I think there's still a few characters I'd quite like to see from that arc. And Kurama, I would say, was definitely a possibility and would be very cool, although some people would disagree because this would be his 3rd standard gacha. But to be fair, most of the stuff he does in this arc has already been represented one way or another in the other versions of the character, so he's probably not going to be added here. I'm pretty dead set on a version 2 Kuwabara. Even if the first Kuwabara we have, the one that's already in the game, is basically the one from this arc, that unit is so old and we're so desperate for a version 2 that I feel like they can cobble something together and it'll be somewhat passable. I also think we can probably get a new Botan, possibly from earlier in the arc, you know, the House of Four Dimensions, where Botan's wearing the like school uniform. I feel like it's different enough that can justify a version 2, and it's sort of like a glow up, you know, the old 3-star and 4-star of the series both getting full-on 5-star versions. I know Kuwabara does evolve to 6-star now, but standard gacha, fully fledged 5-star versions for both, I think would be very nice. So there are your new heroes, and let's move on to the event units. I expect this event probably won't have the same amount of content as the previous crossover event. That event added 13 new units and a legend summon. It was sort of a month-long event, and this event is much less than that, like more like 3 weeks, 2 weeks and a bit, I don't know, 3 weeks, around there somewhere. So my predictions overall currently sit at 12 new units and 2 legend summons, but that's not necessarily what I expect. It's just kind of what I want to see, and to be more realistic, they would probably cut 2 of those standard gacha units out, 2 new heroes instead of 4, and then probably only 1 new legend summon. So one series would get more content than the other, and overall that would bring us to 10 units and 1 legend summon. Not as satisfying, but certainly more likely. Anyway, not to focus too much on what they're going to do, let's talk more about what I would like to see. For the event units I want to see from Hunter x Hunter, keeping in mind that we are focusing mostly on the Chimera Ant arc, I have chosen Yuppie as the Catastrophe class event, Palm as the Transcendent class event, Morel as the Ultimate class event, and Komugi as a Legend summon. Yuppie being a Catastrophe would be very nice. At this point, that would mean that we would have all 3 of the Royal Guards as a Catastrophe class event, and then Meruem is like the Genkai battle, which sort of ties everything all off very nicely. As for Palm and Morel, they're somewhat important characters. They're quite important to the story. They're not included yet. And if we're focusing on this arc in particular, they do seem like obvious picks to me. And as for Komugi as a legend summon, I feel like that's a very strong choice. If we only get 1 legend summon in this event, I really hope it's her. There are quite a few characters I'd still like to see that, you know, if we focus on one arc, we're obviously not going to see them, you know. Characters like Alucard, not in the game yet. If we only focus on this arc, that's not going to happen. At some point, we'll probably get a different version of Irumi. If we focus on just this arc, not going to happen. Like, there's lots of stuff from Hunter x Hunter that could happen, and, you know, if they do decide to pick and choose from all different places, we could end up with a very cool event. I mean, we still don't have all of the Phantom Troop. We still haven't touched on the sort of final arc or any of the Zodiac characters or any of that stuff. So there are options, but in terms of staying with one arc, which I think would make more sense in this case, these are the characters I would like to see. Now, from Yu Yu Hakusho, it's a little bit trickier. There are quite a few characters in this arc that are arguably worthy of being added as event units, but most of them don't really excite me that much. And, you know, in the end, I did find at least 3 characters I liked and I felt fit as event units, and those were Itsuki as a Catastrophe class event, Kyoshi as a Transcendent class event, and Elder Toguro as an Ultimate class event. Now, I've labelled these all as what class of events I think they'd be, but we've got to have some kind of exchange event in here somewhere. Like, there's no guarantee all of these would line up in this way, and if we do have an ultimate class, we probably only have one, not two. But it's kind of hard to say, and, you know, even if they do have an exchange event, there's no guarantee there'll be a new unit in there. It could just be farming materials, farming luxury rewards, just something to pad out the event until Annie. Either way, I know that Kyoshi is a little bit debatable, you know, but he does get beat by Kuwabara, and I kind of wanted Kuwabara to have his own event. That's kind of like one of his big moments, so I kept him in. Itsuki and Elder Toguro are must-haves for me in this event. As for a Legend Summon, that's a little bit trickier. I figured just to pay homage to the start of the arc and some of the characters that I decided not to include, I think we could get the House of Dimensions as... sorry, the House of Four Dimensions as a Legend Summon, but if I had to choose, that could easily just be dropped in favour of just leaving the Kabuki Legend Summon as the only one for this event. But I tried to be fair, and I tried to give both events the same amount of content, which is not what they did in the last crossover event. So, that's my event. We'll know just how wrong I am very soon. Let me know in the comments which characters you would like to see most, and I will see you all next time.